Hello, my name is Berenice Prado, and this is my online portfolio for my Capstone project. So before I get started into the different sections, I just wanted to point out that throughout the portfolio, I tried to integrate the lessons that I learned over the last 2 years as far as good web design goes. So making sure that my font sizes are good, that I'm using good readable font families, that I'm breaking up text with images, and I'm making good use of white space, etc. I also created this nice little infographic header that combines technology, literature, ideas. So just watch for that, I guess, throughout the presentation. So basically, I start with a little background and introduction, talking about why I wanted to become a librarian, how I felt going into the program, my hesitations, and how I felt coming out of it, feeling more confident in my abilities and kind of with a renewed passion for the profession. So program outcomes. Okay, so I highlight at least one course in each of the sections. So Foundations of Library and Information Science is highlighted here. And then I go into my reflections. So I basically end here about with my professional values development plan, where if I go back to this other page, I talk about my commitment to diversity and inclusivity, lifelong learning, empathy, proactive service, information guidance, and then these things are all kind of touched on in subsequent pages as well. So I felt like that was a really important piece, and here's the paper, how it opens up. So I'll go ahead and go back over here, and we can move on to the next section, which is information resources. So for information resources, I highlight organization of information and collection development and management. Talk about collection development and management turning out to be one of the major roles of the job that I have obtained now. And I give a collection interview that I conducted with a couple of librarians for Portland Community College. I won't open that up, but basically it just shows that I'm able to kind of glean valuable insight and advice from other professionals to help me form my own strategies in the areas of collection development. So organization of recorded knowledge and information. So scrolling down here, cataloging and classification and database design. So I chose as my artifact here, if I keep scrolling down, it's a hot sauce classification assignment, which is it's a presentation of that we had to do in the classification and cataloging class, where we basically looked at different hot sauces from the world and used cataloging principles to and classification systems to group them together and things like that. So it's kind of a fun little artifact. And I'm not clicking on all of them just because some of them I've noticed are taking a little long to load, but they should all open just fine. Information technology, and web design and development are highlighted in the technological knowledge and skills section. I talk about, how technology is an aspect of almost everything that we do these days in libraries. And what I highlight as my artifact is the Jackalope Saints website, which is the website that we coded from scratch in my web design and development class. So it's an example of group work, as well as being able to learn a new tech skill. Let me just go back over to the portfolio so we can keep moving. And reference and user services. So So I talk about the combination of my experience and education being a really valuable, um, valuable thing now in my workplace. Community needs assessment, and really thinking about the user. Here I included a research guide that was for nursing students. Is something that I've never put together anything like this before, and so again, really thinking about the user and how they're interacting with information. And moving on to research. So for research, the artifact that I include is a Prezi. So without going into it, it should start just right up. But it basically, I felt, was a really good demonstration of not only having to conduct research, but being able to analyze the results and present and share our findings with others. So I thought that was a kind of cool artifact to include. Continuing education and lifelong learning is next. So I talk about how much it's impacted me to have connection to peers, mentors, and how much support I've gotten throughout the last 2 years, and how I would like to continue giving back. I talk about my involvement with professional organizations, and that's part of what I use as my highlight here, the Oregon Library Association hotline. It's something that I volunteered to put together monthly as part of the communications committee. So it's a good active example of something that I'm doing. And administration and management. I highlight 805, and it's really talking about being able to look at all the pieces of a system, and being able to kind of step out onto the balcony, the interplay between leadership and management, strategic planning, etc. So I include as my artifact a grant or conference poster for a grant proposal. This is for an English as a second language ebook club. So I thought it was a really cool, unique example of my ability to develop innovative services, communicate with stakeholders, follow procedures, and seek creative funding. So that's it for the program outcomes. If I move on to professional values, the first section is service. For professional values, I kind of continue using the same layout as I did before, just for consistency. And I talk about public service being a big driving factor in my decision to pursue library science. And the artifact, this is the only section that I duplicate the artifact, because I thought that this ESL ebook group grant proposal is an example also of my ability to assess community needs, develop innovative services, and advocate for underserved individuals. So the artifacts in all the other sections are unique. That's the only one I duplicated. So for leadership, if I scroll down here, I talk about, kind of having a different idea now than I did before about what it means to be a leader, how collaborative the program is, and how we've had to exercise skills such as communication, compromise. I include my reflective journal from 805 in here. This kind of is a good example of my thinking and my growth, being able to connect what we're learning about to what I'm seeing at work in the community. Moving on to integrity. So in integrity, I really highlight, my belief in intellectual freedom and the code of ethics that the ALA has set up. And I include a mock response to a challenge of library materials. I thought it was a really good demonstration of my ability to advocate for intellectual freedom to both a patron and also to members of the board. So coming, being able to address different audiences as well. So going back up, we go to the last professional value, which is mentorship. So for mentorship, I talk about how important it's been for me to be mentored and supported by my peers, my coworkers, my professors, and how I'd like to be able to, teach, share, and guide others in order to accomplish their own goals as well. I include a screencast of a tutorial I made in this instruction course, which is for Simply Map, and it's just kind of an example of my ability, again, to think about who the audience is and to help provide tools for them to continue learning and improving skills as well. So it should play just right in. And that's it for professional values. Under my work, I didn't want to include just a lot of duplicate artifacts. I instead decided to include a comprehensive list of my MLS coursework. I thought that would be really helpful in the future, just to be able to see a complete listing of what I took, and if anybody's interested in learning a little bit more about what the course actually entails, they can go through there. So for my resume, hopefully this works. It was looking a little odd earlier. Okay, here it goes. So here's my resume. So I start with my professional experience, and got my education, etc., etc. So I just kind of included the one that I have developed over the last few years. And finally, for contact, I just kept it at the little contact box. And so that's it. That's my portfolio. It was definitely a good experience, and I feel like it was very cathartic to kind of just reflect back over the last 2 years and to have something that's really presentable. So I'll definitely be sharing this hopefully with people over the next few years. Thanks for watching.